the president and CEO of Catholic Charities of Dallas, and he joins us to talk about what's going on here locally, a little closer to home, and especially the Time for Giving campaign, which is going to be the first weekend of May. And if you go to the website, ccdallas.org, one of the things you'll see is Catholic Charities calls the community to action to join them in addressing the root causes of poverty, hunger, homelessness by serving, educating, and empowering all those in need. Through our missions and programs, we meet clients where they are and provide help where they need it most. David Woodyard, welcome. Thanks for coming here.
Thanks, Dave. Great to be here.
So this Time for Giving campaign, I know you always have the big gala, which is always a lot of fun. You have the Beach Boys, and you've had all these great musicians. I know that's a big fundraiser, and it's very well attended. How much is what happens the first weekend of May as far as your overall budget? Is this a big part of what keeps you guys going?
It's a significant part. It's not the biggest by any means, but we hope it could be and will be. And it's, yes, the first weekend of May, but also really the entire month of May. This campaign is really about everybody giving. There's 9 counties that we serve, Dave. There's 5 million people in those 9 counties. We believe that 1 million plus of them identify as Catholic, and many of them are registered at parishes around the diocese, of course. This is that time where we're hoping that everyone can give something. That $1, $5, $10, sacrifice one coffee along the way, and hopefully make a difference. Because as you know, the multiplier of $1 million at $1, let alone $1 million at $5, is a huge impact. So we're very hopeful that people will give. We feel like this is truly the time for giving.
Those numbers that Jennifer was just quoting a moment ago, when I thought it was a mistake when I was reading this. Now, this is Mary's Meals, and they're working internationally, and she's talking about $25.20 feeding a child for a year. And when you think about that, it's like, well, what are they feeding them? Air? I mean,
yeah, that's
but the fact is, probably even locally, it doesn't cost as much as people may think to do something, clothe somebody, feed them, give them a drink. And so you don't have to be a millionaire to support, like you said, $5 or $10 goes a long way.
It does. In fact, in our hunger mission, we have 6 mobile food pantries hitting all 9 counties, meeting a team of volunteers, 1 truck, 1 driver, 1,000 serve is what we like to say. And those mobile food trucks can deliver a meal for 17 cents a meal. So I didn't do the math on Mary's mission there, but I'm sure in an international market to be able to feed kids, just an outstanding mission of help and hope.
Especially when you can't hardly go to a restaurant these days without spending about $20 for a meal.
That's the tip.
Yeah, exactly. So on the website, there's 11 services and missions, and there's a whole lot going on. If I may, I don't know if there's any in particular that you want to highlight. Or you want me to pick a couple, or
well, you pick them because we love all of our missions equally.
Yeah, don't have any favorites.
We do not pick favorites here. No.
The hunger services.
Yes.
We drive around, and it's hard to pass a bridge without seeing some homeless people who are encamped, or they've got their little community there. Tell us about that, and how do you reach out to the hungry and homeless community here in Dallas?
Well, we serve those in 2 different ways. So our hunger mission really is focused on those in and around poverty. We talk about an acronym that you may or may not be familiar with of ALICE, A-L-I-C-E. It's Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. Those that have heard me speak hear me talk about it a lot because it really registers with people that don't have any means to get and do anything but get by. They're right on the edge. They're living in or around poverty. Believe it or not, in the state of Texas, over 51% of our residents in Texas qualify in that ALICE criteria. An astounding, I shouldn't say outstanding, statistic. So we're trying to serve those folks in our hunger mission by providing shelf-stable food, produce, milk, eggs, proteins, and things, all in partnership with North Texas Food Bank. We stand on their shoulders to do that. And that's one way we're able to help alleviate and keep people out of that horrible problem that could be unhoused or something else that could come along. On the homeless side of things, we're, of course, doing things to intervene and try and cause diversion to keep people out of homelessness. Again, the food mission helps. We know that it's hard to measure what a meal provides, but we know it helps because you can't get anything done if you're hungry. So on that front, we're helping in that regard. On the true homeless front, diversion is really about trying to catch people right as they're falling into it. Help them out with some rental assistance or utilities or something that's going to keep them housed, keep them stable, keep them where they can maintain their work life and hopefully take care of their family and whatever else might be in their world.
You mentioned about half of the people, I guess, in Texas, the statistic you gave qualify for ALICE, and some of these people may be in and out of poverty, in and out of needing assistance.
Right.
There seems to be some segment of the population, at least the perception is that these people are always going to be homeless, and sometimes they may even resist, improving their lives. How true is that? And when you find somebody who's been homeless for a long time and maybe they've gotten kind of used to that lifestyle, how much success is there in bringing somebody like that back into a regular lifestyle without being homeless?
Boy, that's a huge question. And it just depends. The average age of homeless in our Dallas and Collin counties is about 55, 56 years old. I've been told anecdotally that 1 year homeless takes 2 years out of your life. So when you put the math together, physically, many of the folks that have been homeless for a long time, chronically homeless, their physical capacity is very much diminished. So some are really not going to be able to work again and enter the workforce in a normal way. Others absolutely will. And so that's a lot of our mission, is to keep those that can work, get them back on their feet, help them with workforce development, with any other kind of needs they may have around mental health or just general health, dental health, all those things that is inaccessible when they're out on the street. Help them with that, help them get back on their feet, help them get housed. And for those that are more chronically homeless and in their senior years as well, help them through permanent supportive housing or other means that we can work with our community and our state and federal government to take care of the least of us.
Another one that hits close to home to me, and I think I mentioned this before, is the pregnancy, parenting, and adoption. I have a sister and her husband who adopted 3 children through Catholic Charities. Now, those kids are all grown up now, and so it's very personal, and I know that they appreciated Catholic Charities very much when they're going through that process. But what should we know about that, and how what is the difference between the demand of parents who look to adopt and potentially adoptive children?
Yeah, another great question. We're the only Catholic agency in the state of Texas that are doing infant adoptions. We also do finally home children, which are children where the parental rights have been terminated by the courts. They have been in the foster system, and they're now eligible for permanent adoption. Both are wonderful entrustment ceremonies when we hand over the babies, or hand over the kids, if you will, to the new family, and knowing that that's a permanent place for those kids now. So it's a hugely moving mission, and one that's really near and dear to our hearts. But we also go beyond that. We do a lot of parenting, education, pre-K education and diagnosis for kids to see if they've got the ability to read and learn the way they're supposed to, and if they don't, what is the thing that's missing and how can we get that addressed quickly. Kids that are able to read by 2nd, 3rd grade have a incredibly higher chance of succeeding in school than those that don't. And even with parents, there's a lot of illiteracy in our community, and whether it be English as a second language or just others that never learned to read, we're helping and leaning in on that to make sure that those parenting skills are there.
One that got my attention, because I had never heard of this before, is the Next Gen Wealth Academy.
Yes.
What is that? It sounds like maybe teaching some financial skills.
Well, we are, exactly. And we rebranded it that to make sure that it made sense to our clients, that this is really about building generational wealth. And we may not be able to affect that today, but hopefully we can affect it for tomorrow through the kids and the family of those that we're serving. And this is where we literally help with financial literacy, workforce planning, budgeting, just different things that you kind of take for granted sometimes, and you realize, a lot of people never got exposed to that. They never had that opportunity to learn just, hey, you shouldn't have bad debt. You shouldn't have things that, credit card that charge you 25% and things like that. Those are just going to kill you. So you got to get out of that. Next Gen Wealth helps address that in many, many ways.
Now, is that for anybody, or do you have to be poor or qualify for ALICE, or is that just somebody that says, hey, I'd like to have some financial help?
That is truly for anybody, absolutely. Okay. Of course, we serve anyone, no matter walk of life. You can't prove poor. So we just lean into it and make sure that those that are in need are served.
I'm glad we get to do this. I hope a lot of people are listening, and I think they are, because what happens oftentimes, I think, at this Time for Giving campaign, which is going to be the first weekend of May, where you have a chance in the second collection, is they'll typically say the second collection today is going to benefit Catholic Charities.
Right.
And, of course, you may have already made your first contribution to the parish, and the basket comes around real quickly, and you may not, in your minds, be able to think of all the different things that you're supporting when you drop your, $20 or $100 or a check or whatever into the basket. So it's good that we do this.
Right.
Do you think there's probably never enough awareness, but do you think the average person in the Dallas Diocese knows what Catholic Charities does?
I don't think they do. Of course, they've heard of us, and I'm sure they know we do good work and that we're helping the least of us. But we do so many things, it's just hard for everybody to wrap their mind around it, if you will. We love telling the story, but we kind of joke that we need a 200-story building to tell our elevator pitch because it's just too much. But if all they know is knowing that we're there to respond, that we're there to answer the call for those that are in need, and we're just going to serve as long as it takes. Serving until it's solved is what we like to say.
I do like elevator pitches. And,
Yes.
You say you need a long elevator ride or maybe a very
Right.
slow elevator. But if you are in the elevator with somebody as CEO and president and you got 20 seconds and they say, oh, Catholic Charities, what do you guys do? What would you say?
Well, I'd for sure tell them that we're trying to make sure that the least of us are served as Jesus asked us to do, that we're going to serve anybody that comes in front of us, and that we're going to serve them as wholly and as completely as we possibly can to make sure that they can live their best life, that they can thrive to the best ability, and that we've been along the way with them walking in that journey.
I think, as I recall, your office, though, over there at Mockingbird and Stemmons, it's only like 2 floors, so you don't really get many opportunities for a long elevator speech.
No,
do you?
not in that building. We sure don't.
See, we're on the 9th floor, and it's kind of funny because I talk about elevator pitches a lot, and there are times I could probably count on a couple of hands when somebody in the elevator sees my shirt, it says Guadalupe Radio, and they're like, hey, what do you do?
Right.
And I'm thinking, wow, this is an actual elevator pitch. I mean, this is like, by definition.
The clock is ticking.
I know, and I got 20 seconds to answer. The good thing we're on the 9th floor. We got a little bit of time before we get to number 1. Dave Woodyard is the president and CEO of Catholic Charities of Dallas. Don't forget, the first weekend of May is Time for Giving campaign. Will that be at every parish, or is it kind of pastor to pastor decides, or how? And you said it's the whole month of May.
Well, the campaign is the whole month of May. The technical second collection is that first weekend of May. And yes, of course, that's always parish driven. There may be something going on, so they might move it to the weekend after. But I think the most important thing is just to make sure people go to the website, ccdallas.org/donate. Help us out. Again, a small donation, a big donation, all of it matters. If we can get everyone to respond, truly everyone listening today and beyond to respond, it will make a huge impact. So we're hopeful that everyone listens and that they are helping during our Time for Giving.
And the services are quite literally womb to tomb. I mean, I see children's services. You talked about infant adoptions. You got them at the beginning of life.
Right.
Senior services, which is so important because there's such a growing senior population, and they're, of course, at different levels of ability, cognitively and physically. So what do you do to help the seniors?
Well, it's a great point. And so many of our seniors are facing real financial hardships as well because the rents continue to rise and property taxes and utilities and inflation, and all of our seniors are on fixed income, or most are anyway. So having the ability to help them, to get them out of their homes, get them out of isolation. We have our Brady Senior Service Center, which is over in West Dallas at Our Lady of Lourdes Parish, and it does just that. It provides a couple meals a day, 5 days a week. We have all kinds of case management, health management, if you will. Parkland comes over and does an assessment and mental health opportunities. But then we have fun. We have Zumba, and we have bingo and crossword puzzles and all kinds of things going on so that the seniors are active. They're getting out of isolation, which again, we know, statistically that the more you're isolated, the more likely your mind is going to deteriorate and diminish, and dementia is going to creep in. So we're doing everything we can to fight that. But most importantly, we want them to be happy and feel like they've got a life worth living. And I think this center really provides for that. One
of the early interviews I did with you was when I think it was the hurricane and maybe some of the residual, the after effects from the hurricane was coming in, or there was some kind of natural disaster that came all the way up into North Texas. And I talked to you about that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the disaster preparedness and relief services, what falls under that scope? And has there been one in the last year or two that you guys have had to deal with?
Well, there hasn't. We've been very, very blessed. The last one was the tornado of a few years back that affected us locally. But many times, as you mentioned, hurricanes and others from around us are affected, and populations come into Dallas to try and, kind of as local refugees, if you will. So we help with all those things. But in these times when there hasn't been a local disaster, we continue to serve because there's always something going on, wherever it's the small apartment fire that affects 3 families or a local single-family home that might have happened, or someone just, again, falling out of into a place where they need some help. So our disaster team actually is the one that does the utility assistance program that we do with Atmos and with others, and generally just helping out where we can. Now, we don't have unlimited funds, unfortunately, but that's, again, where this time for giving can help. The more money we have, the more opportunity to help those, because those little events may hit the news at 6 o'clock, but FEMA and others don't show up, and there generally isn't a second collection for those folks in particular. So, again, this is the time that we can stock up our barrel, if you will, with extra funds to try and make sure that we can help those folks when their little crisis happens, because for them, it's huge.
Yeah, it sure is. And I guess, thanks be to God, we haven't had any need for that in the last couple of years. But you said, I remember that tornado that ripped right through the heart of Dallas a number of years ago, right over there by St. Monica. I think it just barely missed St. Monica. Dave Woodyard is my guest, president and CEO of Catholic Charities of Dallas. The main thing that we're talking about is the Time for Giving campaign. I keep talking about the first weekend of May, and that's going to be, May 2nd is a Saturday, May 3rd is a Sunday. That's just a couple of weekends from this weekend, and that's when I think most parishes will have a second collection. Joe's telling me we've got 3 minutes left. And so, Dave, just the time we have remaining, is there anything else in particular you'd like to highlight or talk about? I know there's a lot. Sometimes I look at the scope of what you're doing.
There is so much.
It boggles my mind. I'm not even the president and CEO. So what else would you like to mention?
Well, I think, we were talking about homeless and the needs. We also, when you talked about cradle to the grave, we also have our Mata Maria homes that are so near and dear to us. They were started by Martha Alicia and Javier Burkle, just an unbelievable mission that they created with 2 homes that are able to take in homeless pregnant women. We take them from the time they identify as pregnant and homeless through birth to 9 months plus, to make sure they get on their feet. We take care of their health and everything that we possibly can along the way. And again, most importantly, making sure they have the ability to work and sustain themselves beyond the first birth of their child.
And when we talked about Mary's Meals at the beginning of this show, I talked about how it's international. Catholic Charities is international, right? Does every diocese have a Catholic Charities by rule, or how many, most of them do? Yeah,
well, most dioceses within the U.S. have a Catholic Charities, or some call it Catholic Social Services. Outside the U.S., it's called Catholic Relief Services, or CRS. And combined, all total, we believe, without question, it's the largest single nonprofit in the world.
Yeah, praise God for that. Well, thanks for coming in, and I just want to remind everybody that first weekend of May, if you're in the Dallas Diocese, does Fort Worth do it the same weekend, or do you know?
They do not. They do not.
Okay, so Fort Worth has...
all listeners are welcome.
Yeah. If you happen to be visiting a Dallas parish, you're probably going to hear a second campaign, a second collection going on with Catholic Charities of Dallas, and you can say, oh, yeah, I remember that interview with the CEO and president that we had. So, Dave Woodyard, thank you very much. I know you've got to be a very busy person. Appreciate you coming in. Thanks to Eden and the staff over there at Catholic Charities. If you want to visit their website, you don't even have to wait till the first weekend of May. You can go on today and make a donation.
It's
if you
ready.
like. You'll accept that, right?
We will.
Okay, ccdallas.org, ccdallas.org. They also have the Great Angel of Charity events, the Archangel of Charity, the cool event at the beginning of the year where they always have a great musical group and a fundraiser. So lots going on, and they're helping a lot of people in the Dallas Diocese. So thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate the time.
All right, so we go from president and CEO of Catholic Charities to the new executive director of the CPLC. Cynthia Schmidt is warming up in the bullpen, and she'll be with us here in just a minute. You'll get to meet her and her vision for the CPLC going forward.